Building a base in DayZ changes the entire game. Not only can it improve your survival chance, but also allow you to store some of the hard-earned loot. So here I'll show you everything you need to know to make one. I'll also show you how to make a flagpole and then explain some optional base extras at the end that you will definitely find useful. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a subscribe, it really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey, why do they call you One Finger Fred? Well, it all started with this base I was building. There are two main types of construction, each with multiple stages of assembly. A watchtower, which can be built up 2 floors, and a fence, which is capable of being turned into a gate. The tools you'll need for these two basic structures are a shovel or something similar, such as a garden hoe or a pickaxe, a hammer or hatchet, and pliers if you intend to make a gate. I'd also recommend a saw and an axe to aid in resource gathering because you're gonna need a lot of wood. Let's start with the fence. The first thing you need is a fence kit. To craft this, combine 2 sticks with some rope. This will produce a fence kit. Then, with it in hand, you'll be given the option to place it down. Keep in mind you'll always be on the inside of the fence, so you'll always be looking out. Once placed, you'll need to build a foundation. This requires 2 logs and a shovel. Approach the fence kit with the 2 logs, attach them to the fence kit as so, and then use the shovel to interact with it and start building your foundation. If you're unsure of where to find logs, they can be acquired by chopping down large trees. Once you have your foundation, you'll need to build your frame. This frame has to be built in 2 sections, the lower frame and the upper frame. For each section, you'll need 4 wooden planks and 8 nails. You'll also need a hammer or a hatchet. In fact, you'll need a hammer or a hatchet for any assembly part in this entire video that uses nails. But keep in mind, while a hammer is only used to build these items, a hatchet has the ability to build and dismantle too. If you're unsure of where to get wooden planks, you can either cut logs using a saw or find one of these pallets, often found around construction sites and other non-residential areas. Just use a saw on them to cut large amounts of planks. Once you have your frame, you'll need to build your wall. This will also be built in 2 sections, the lower wall and the upper wall. For each section, you'll need 5 wooden planks and 10 nails. Then you'll have a single completed fence piece. Any fence piece can be turned into a gate. For a gate, add a metal wire to any fence piece and then approach it with some pliers. This will turn the fence into a gate, which you can open by approaching it and interacting with it. This will also allow you to add a code lock or a combination lock to stop anyone from entering without the code. To set the code, scroll through the numbers with it in your hand to whatever number you want to set it to and then attach it to the base. Then this will automatically shuffle the numbers, only unlocking when the correct combination is entered. Oh, and the default number for code locks is all 1s. Using this ability to build a fence, you'll be able to build your base in a variety of places. Just set up your fence building kit and then add your supplies. You can block off large sheds, small houses, or even entire facilities. Furthermore, you can build a platform and stairs, adding it to your fence, allowing you to peek over to either fire at approaching raiders or check who's knocking. Next, I'll show you how to build a watchtower. This is very similar to the fence, though there are some notable differences, mostly an increase in required resources. Firstly, you'll need to build a watchtower kit. This requires 4 sticks and 1 rope. Similar to the fence, equip it and place it anywhere you want. Then you'll need to build your foundation, which requires 4 logs instead of 2 and a shovel. Next, build a lower and upper frame using 4 planks and 8 nails for each of its 2 sections. This will have to be repeated 2 times. Once this is complete, you'll need to build an upper and a lower wall using 5 planks and 10 nails for each of its 2 sections. Again, repeating this 2 times. You'll also need to build the top panel. This will take 10 planks and 20 nails, although it will probably be referred to as the floor in the on-screen options. Now is the time you should build the stairs. This will require 6 planks and 18 nails and should allow you to reach the next floor. From here, you can repeat the process 2 more times to add floors. However, you will no longer need a shovel when building the foundation foundation from this point on. Instead, you'll now need a hammer or a hatchet for any floors above ground level. Once you build up the additional 2 floors, the last piece of the watchtower is the roof. This can be crafted with 6 metal sheets, 5 planks and 20 nails. This will complete your watchtower, adding this cool slanted roof to it. To build a flagpole, a requirement for some servers, this entails more tools and construction supplies than the fence and the watchtower. Similar to the previous build, start by combining rope with 3 sticks to create a flagpole kit. Place it in your desired location once you put it to your hands. Next, you'll need to work on its foundation, which has 2 stages. The first stage requires a log and a sledgehammer. The second stage requires 32 large stones, a further 6 logs, and a shovel. This will give you the flagpole's base. To create the pole itself, add an additional 3 logs, 60 nails, rope, and metal wire. Then, using a hammer or hatchet, click build. This will complete your flagpole. Now you can attach any flag you want and raise it by approaching and pressing the interact button. If you need a flag, there are a few places, but my go-to is the Hunter's Shack. You can find many different flags here, but be warned, some community servers may require you to have a specific one. But here's a few tips before we move on to the extra options. Firstly, the kits are reusable, so once you build your foundation for, say, the fence, then you'll be able to pick it back up and set it again for another panel. When building with a fence kit, always make sure you can build every piece you need before committing to laying a foundation, even if this means picking up and replacing the fence kits in different areas. Sometimes you think you can build somewhere, but a slight incline or piece of furniture will get in the way and ruin your construction, which is especially damaging when you're halfway through it. Now, there are extras you could add to your base, and some of them are way more useful than others. Firstly, when building your walls, you can add metal sheets instead of planks in a variety of combinations, creating a full metal or part metal fence. Metal fences are generally stronger. In addition to this, barbed wire can be added to fences and watchtowers with pliers, adding cut damage to anyone who collides with them. Furthermore, a camo net, such as the one I'm holding here, can not only be used to increase your base's stealth and cosmetics, but it can also be used to create a window, allowing you to look out discreetly. For example, if I ever build a base inside of a house, I put a foundation in front of any windows I don't want to block and then attach a camo net. This makes it very difficult for other players to see in unless they're right next to it, but allows me to see them with ease. Just keep the lights off at night. As for the inside of your base, most people add tents, chests, and barrels because they provide such great storage, but you can also add things like an improvised shelter and lights. Speaking of lights, to hook up a power generator to some lights, specifically the construction lights, firstly, place the generator within a few meters of where you want your light to be. Add a spark plug to it and fill it with fuel. Then approach it holding your construction light, and you should be given the option to plug it in. Once plugged in, you'll be able to maneuver the light around and choose where to place it, but keep an eye on the holographic placement. If you go too far from the generator, the wire will appear to wrap around the light stalk as so. Make sure the wire hangs through the floor before placing it down. Once placed, turn both the generator and light on, and you should have a working system. But there are 2 things I absolutely recommend. The first one is knowing where to build your actual base, and you can find that out by clicking this video here. And the other thing is making sure you know how to raid a base, because that way you'll be able to fortify your base against the common problems. And for that one, click here. And as always, until next time.